Uh, I do thank you guys for letting me come and share with you. For those that weren't here before, we're on a new journey, my wife and I, and she was diagnosed with cancer. We're in the middle of figuring all that out. And we've been married 42 years. I've been at the ministry. I'm currently with over 40. There's something I do understand about life, and one of my goals in life right now is to try and give away everything I've learned before I die. And make the next generation at least have the information that God taught me over the last 40 years, both in my marriage and in the ministry and in life. And what a privilege it is to be able to give away what you have. If you can just give it away to people and they want it. That means, though, that they have to want it, I gotta say. If they don't want it, it's just going to lay there. But if they want it, it's amazing what God has done in life to teach you. Likewise, I never thought, I'm really not one they ever have at marriage conferences or things. I just don't usually do this. And the reason I don't usually do it is I've never really considered marriage that tough. And people, I keep talking to say it's so tough, and I think, no, it isn't. What are you talking about? So, if you want to leave now, you can, because that would... but here's why. I'll give you some background on it, I think. If you're at the first seminar, you understood that there's some things that don't change, and there's some... And in life, if you know what they are, then they don't change anyway, no matter what the circumstances are in your life. The other thing, I've always had a general rule. If my marriage is messed up, it's because I'm being self-centered. That's my rule. If I fix that, normally things straighten themselves out. The other rule is, well, if it's not me being self-centered, then it's her. So we both got to figure it out. Because anyone that's in a relationship where you're focusing only on yourself, you're going to be in trouble. And so once that gets straightened out, all the other problems go away. It's really not that difficult. And I'm not saying cancer is going to go away. That's not really a problem. That's an issue in life that everybody has, whether you're single, married, whatever. I'm talking about other areas of life. Communication and conflict are things that are really a normal part of our lives that we have to have. And Satan really likes to mess with both. He likes to make sure we stay in conflict. He loves to make sure that you and I don't even know what communication really is. And so what I want to do is talk to you like an old grandpa guy that's been married a long time and say, look, here's what I've learned about marriage. Here's what I've learned about any relationship that's successful. Whether it be with your children, whether it be in marriage, because relationships need to be healthy. All of them. Not just between you and your wife, although that's the primary relationship if you're married. I love the fact that I've been married as long as I have been able to be married, and one of the things I get to do is often teach Nicolay Bible Institute students, and they get tired of hearing about my marriage. Because in a marriage relationship, you have so many pictures of how God deals with us. And from the idea of commitment and loving one another, it's a beautiful picture. Also, it's important, and if you're in the last seminar, you realize it's important that you and I understand what doesn't change. Be committed to what doesn't change. And they need to hear what commitment actually is, and they need to see what it is. Because many people today still get into marriages in an arrangement situation rather than a commitment situation. And you can't get into a marriage without being one who says, I need to be committed to this. Not just if it works out, not just if the circumstances stay the way I like them, but I am committed to this regardless of any circumstances in life. Any. One of the great things that my wife understands right now, and I keep reiterating it to her, is there is not a thing she's going to go through that will make me abandon her. I will abandon my job. I will abandon whatever else in life, but I will not abandon my relationship with her. She needs to rest in that. She also understands that I am human and God can take me out of here right now and I cannot fulfill that. Ultimately, we trust in God, who is totally committed to who we are because He made us. And we can trust him. I promise you this, if God spares her life and our marriage, as far as us being able to stay together, the next few years will be the greatest years of ministry as he just pours over us his love and his provision like he has never done before, because we've never gone through this. The one thing I know, and we've talked about, is that he is faithful even if we don't get it. I want to start with a premise that there's no honest communication apart from trust. There is no honest communication apart from trust. If you want to communicate with your spouse, you want to communicate with your wife, you need to trust her, and she needs to trust you. You need to be able to talk about anything you're actually thinking about. In order to do that, again, I want to keep mentioning the other book. If you weren't here last time, go get that one and listen to it sometime, because they need to be already set with their commitments, knowing that I can tell her anything I'm thinking about, because she's only going to think about what's best and right. I'm a verbal processor. My wife is not. In fact, my wife is everything I am not. From being female, male, different, to being everything else. She's organized. Who cares? One day, it's not unusual in our house for her to say, Dave, turn around, and I turn around, every cabinet is open because I've been in them. And her just shrug her shoulders like, you're 66 years old. You still forget to close the cabinets. We're totally different. And we're different how we communicate. I am a verbal processor. I talk about things. She had to learn that in our marriage. I talk about things, and I have no intention to do them. I'm sorting them out. She doesn't. She doesn't say a word till it's decided. And I'm going, I think we should buy a new house. Then again, because the first one, then I'll pause, and she goes, what? Well, yeah, no, that's a dumb idea, isn't it? That'll cause this. Maybe I should just buy a new lawnmower instead. Yeah, my mind works, but I don't do it silently. I do it verbally. Between my kids and her, they get used to me doing this, and it's just like, oh, that's bad. He's talking through something again, but nobody can follow him. No, because I think we should have a shake. Huh? We were just talking about a lawnmower. Oh, sorry. Why was I talking about a lawnmower? Mine's fine. Yeah, once you keep those thoughts in your head. Well, I verbalize everything. That's how I hear it. That's how I think. But I come from a Scandinavian background. We don't verbalize anything. I'm used to that. I love, in 1 John 4:18 and 19, it says, there's no fear in love. No fear in love. There is no fear. When you love somebody, you have no fear of that person. You have no fear they're going to leave you. You have no fear of anything. No fear in love. None. But perfect love casts out fear. When they know you're committed, when they understand the things in life that are important to you, they can trust you. When you are trusted, they are not fearful of you. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love. We love because he first loved us. We know what it's like to be loved by God. We understand what it's like to be loved unconditionally by God. God really isn't about me being perfect. He's about helping me be what I should be. I'm not about my wife being perfect. I'm about helping her to be what she should be. And I would love to tell you, I always know what that is, but I don't. I can tell you what I think she should be all the time. But most of the time it's self-centered thought as I think about it, because I want it that way for me. It's important that we realize that perfect love casts out fear. My question really is, what do you do in your life with your wife, if you are married? What do you do to make sure you develop trust with each other? How do you do that? That's an important question. Now, here's again, I told the guys last time, that commercial about don't be like this, your dad kind of thing. I'm the guy you don't want to be like. I'm the guy they patterned that whole commercial after. But I'm going to tell you some things I think you need to do in order to build trust in today's society. I think we need to make sure we have zero secrets from our spouse. Zero. I understand about all the privacy stuff, all the stuff, but I'll tell you this right now. My wife has all the passwords on all my devices, and she can take them at any time and look through them on everything. Everything. I have zero secrets for any emails, texts. She has all the codes. If we have any social media, she is the one who has the accounts, and I have to get in on hers. I have zero that I do that she cannot check out at any time. I think in this society that's important. I will tell you that it's rare that she grabs anything and looks through it. Why? Because it's always there. She doesn't care. When she does, she'll say, "Did you say that to that guy?" So I get in trouble. It's like, you could be nicer, you know. You didn't have to say it that way. I said, well, he understands. But see, the whole thing is she can take and look at it. I'm not trying to hide something from her. There's no wondering. In our culture, you know how many wives wonder what's really going on? We set rules in our life. Legalistic, we're calling whatever we want. But I got rules. I won't. You know, we work for college kids. I will not. Property just a few miles down the road. I will not get in a car with a student girl without another person in there with us. I won't do it. She knows that. I will never. If one of the student girls wants to come over and visit, I give my wife her number, and she has to contact her. Why? Rule. So that keeps it. No, you know what? I am trying to develop in life trust, not wonder. And in our culture, believe it or not, man, there's so much secret going on there. I'm still believing that, you get married, you're one, not two. The Bible, one. You're just one. So I like it. Yet I think one checking account, one. When we buy something, I always put it in Dave or Linda's name, not Dave and Linda. And years ago, I explained it to her. I said, anytime you can sell everything we have, you have the right to do that. But I've been telling me. That's the way we wrote it up. But if I die, it's pretty easy for you to take over everything. There's no, I have to go do all this stuff, because everything we have is Dave Wager or Linda Wager. And either of us can cheat the other one out of that life savings. Truth is, between you and me, I don't even know what I make. She runs the checkbook and all that stuff. Truth is, I don't care. Why? That's her thing. She should have been an accountant. I don't know how to balance a checkbook. I would never really care to. My dad didn't either. I'm just like him. So it's like, okay, fine. A year after we were married, I thought men have to take care of the checkbook, so I'm doing it. She goes, when's the last time you balanced it? I said, what's that? Who cares? Bank said we had this, that's what we got. Dave, really? Can I help? You can do it all for all I care. Thank you. Boom, gone. I've never seen it since. But we only have one checking account. All of our savings stuff has her name on it. Now, recently she did inherit just a little bit from her dad, and her name's the only one on it, but we're not messing with it. I don't really care. She can have it all. I know it's not her, it's us. I mean, that's the way life is. It doesn't really matter. You know how wonderful it is to work your whole life at making sure you develop that trust. I found if you have no secrets at all, nobody can accuse you of anything. Really. Nobody can if you have no secrets. Oh, Dave, you should have a private life. Why? I don't. You know, now that the angels and everyone sees everything I do anyway, I've never had a private life. Why am I acting like I have one? I don't have one. Oh yeah? Look at the book of Job. What was Satan doing? Roaming the airs, looking for somebody. What were the rest of them? Who knows? But they seemed to all know what was going on. Look at Hebrews chapter 12. There's a cloud of witnesses watching you. That includes Moses, Jonah, Joshua, Jonah, all those guys. They're watching. Oh yeah, but I got private moments. No, you don't. So when you act like you have private moments, you just lied, you don't. So why don't you act in accordance with the fact that you've never had a private moment, and also realize that you can share everything with your spouse. Because your relationship doesn't have to do with your perfection, it has to do with your commitment to one another. Now all of a sudden, you start to communicate better. You know, I don't know how many times I'm walking out, and my wife knows my schedule, I'm going to meet with somebody, maybe there's some conflict going on, whatever, and as I'm about to go out the door, she'll say, Dave? Yes. And she'll just look at me and go, be nice. Okay. Then I walked out, I think, oh, brother. No, she knows I'm an old hockey football player. I much rather knock somebody down first and then talk to them while I'm on the ground. She knows that. She doesn't have to say much. She just, a couple words, be nice. I'm okay with it. Sometimes, honestly, I say, I don't want her to know my schedule that well. I'd like to go just... Yes, it's very hard for me to buy her a gift. Yes. It is. I usually tell my kids to, because I don't have any way. You got that thing on my phone, find my friends thing, whatever it is. I know where my wife is all the time. She knows where I am. It's a game. I tell her, hey, you know what? If you make that big enough, I can watch you walk around Walmart. They get amused by it. It's like, yeah, I know. You always know where I'm at. Yeah, I do. I actually do that to some of my kids if they let me, and some say, Dad, that's weird. I know. I'm old. I'm amused by simple things. See, you go down the road and say, oh, yeah, you're going down the road. You know, I love life in those secrets. Whether it be medical secrets for me, whether it be, you know, if you come to Silverbird Training and say, I want to know how you spend your money. 990s are over there. You go talk to our budget guy. I don't care. It gets audited every year by these strangers. They know everything we do. You can see that too. What are you telling me? I'm telling you, you can have your eyes on anything we do. I don't care. You know what normally happens? They leave. Well, I don't want to see it. You know, there's nothing to hide. I mean, you might disagree with how we spend money. That's your prerogative. But you want to see how we do it? That's all public. It's wonderful to live a life where you have no secrets. You're not putting any energy into hiding anything. You want good communication in marriage? Get to the point where there's no secrets. You're not hiding anything. You trust God. Because once you get there, there's no fear in whatever you say. You know, I've asked my wife, talked to her very frankly. She knows that the job I do, I don't do it for the money. I never have. I do it because it's my life. It's what God gave me to do. She knows I even think about not doing it. And I go, I don't know what I do in life. I have no idea. This is what I do. I don't want to get up every morning and stare out a window and do nothing. But see, I can go to her and tell her that I don't know what to do. She doesn't think less of me. We talking through? Should I quit everything now and care for her in her time of cancer? I will, if I need to. She knows that. She's asked me not to. She asked me to come here today. I wanted to guard against sickness because of the treatments for it. She said, you should go to that. Okay, well, you know I don't want to get you sick. I understand that, Dave. Communication. I'm not afraid to tell her this is what I'm afraid of. I was that kid one time when I was a kid in a wheelchair. I was the kid who was freaky. I know what that feels like. I'm not afraid to tell her that I know what that feels like. I know what it is to be a child that's classified as a crippled kid. I understand that. I understand that she feels crippled now. It hasn't changed a thing. I get to talk to her about what I think. And she knows because of the transparency in life that I'm talking truth to her. If you know God, you trust Him. You talk to Him, and you trust Him. Prayer becomes a natural thing. You talk to Him. There are times where I've said, God, I'm a failure. I don't know how you use me. See, I'm just talking to him. It's true. It's like I didn't surprise him at all. Not like God went, ooh, you're a failure. And immediately I go back to what I know for sure, not what I feel. I don't know how many times I reminded people, I understand your feelings, but would you please start telling yourself what you know for a while? And you can watch your feelings change. When my father-in-law was dying, the idea of honest communication, the idea of being honest, he was dying. It was during COVID. He was in a nursing home. He's 90 years old. We were with him, and we knew that his time was short at this point. My wife sat there holding his hand and singing him hymns, his favorite hymns. Before that, I had just talked to him, and he was a former doctor. I said, Doc, you know, nobody wants me to really be with them when they're dying because I really don't have that much empathy. I just talk to them about life. My brother's a pastor, my dad's a pastor. They were better at this than I ever was. Probably I'm not a pastor. So I grabbed his hand and talked and said, Don, you're out of here soon. See, he understood, Dave, you've always been shot straight with me. Yeah. And he nodded. He said, would you do me a favor when you get to heaven, please? If God lets you. Would you look up my mom and dad? Would you tell them I'm okay? Would you tell my dad I'm still working at what he entrusted me with? But I haven't given it up. He said, Doc, I don't know if they already know that. They might. I don't know what goes on up there. I just nodded to you. You know how wonderful it was to have honest communication with somebody who's dying? For both of us. One of the worst things that ever happened when I was in a wheelchair and other things is when you were around people who ignored the fact that you were in a wheelchair for some reason. Obviously, you were in one. When I see a kid today in a wheelchair, I usually walk up to them and say, hey, what's with the wheels? Why are you in that thing? I've never gotten anyone offended. Honest communication. I realize you're sitting in a chair and other people aren't. Tell me about it. Honest communication. They're my best friend the rest of the time. Why? I didn't ignore something. I talked about it. I didn't even have an answer, by the way. I don't know what to tell them. It's like, oh, this is good, bad. Okay. In 1 Corinthians 6:19, when you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit from whom you have from God, you're not your own. You're not your own. I'm not my own. I need to be honest with those around me because that's how you share your life. As a teacher, one of the things I need to be able to tell people is what you struggle with, what you're going through in life, what you're thinking about. Those are honest things. If you're not honest, there's only one other option. You're manipulative. Because honesty is a painful thing sometimes to say. So I look at our, I don't want to get political, so I'm not getting political, but I look at our government and I see us $30 trillion in debt and I say, that's a dumb idea. Like, I don't know what the solution is. I can't offer one right now. I just don't think we should have got there in the first place. So I can be honest with what I'm saying. Here's my honest thought. Anyone who caused us to get $30 trillion in debt should be fired. And we hire all new people that actually can get us out of debt. That's my thought. Okay, that's just an honest thought. Am I trying to start an argument? Absolutely not. I spoke for the first time since my wife's diagnosis with cancer last week to men in a very small room, 40 men. And she asked me if I would please, in that room, in that environment, wear an N95 mask until I spoke. I can tell you everything about whether I think they work or they don't work. It doesn't really matter. She asked me to do it. I wore one. I want to tell you something. The men in that room at first were brutal. I had to tell them, shut up. Why? Because somebody I love, this matters to. So I will wear it. And you need to stop the arguing about things you don't understand. You say, well, you're so direct. When you're direct and you're honest, you at least earn trust. I don't dislike those guys, but they got to stop arguing about stuff that doesn't matter. You want to wear a mask, wear one. Honestly, in the whole long run of things, I don't care. That doesn't matter. You get lost today in all the arguments about everything. Stop it. There are a few things that matter. Talk about those things. I want you to understand in life, conflict is normal. When you and your wife, you think differently, don't think that's weird. That's normal. So you talk about how you go through those moments. I don't know that I'm right on anything. I just know that there are certain sources of conflict in my life when I have them. Self-focus, I'm focused on just what I want, not her. Sometimes I'm focusing on environment, I'm blaming it for whatever. If you change that, then I'm better. Again, I'm focusing on me, though. Everyone has perspective, you understand that. I mean, my wife does and I do. When I look at family and I say family, I had a great family. So when you say family, one husband, one wife, dedicate to each other for life, leave it to Beaver scenario. And when I say family to somebody else, they don't get that. So sometimes conflict arises because you're using words they don't even get. I say, God wants to be a loving father, and they're thinking my father abused me all my life, I don't want anything to do with God. They walk out the door. You see, sometimes conflict arises because you and I speak from a certain perspective, even to our wife. My wife grew up in a doctor's home, had meat, potato, and vegetable mostly every night for a meal. My mom was a casserole queen with two guys in Chicago, and we ate whatever she put out there, completely devoured it. She would make a big pot of elbow macaroni, throw 2 pieces of bacon in there, ground up with some tomatoes, and call it goulash, and we thought it was great. When we got married, we had all kinds of different perspectives that we brought in. I went on one vacation all my life. We had money to do it. She went out west skiing every year with her dad. Went to Switzerland skiing. Yeah, we were 2 different people. Am I against Switzerland? No, I'm not. I'm just saying we're 2 different people. We understood the whole world differently. You better be honest about that when you talk. And realize how much that actually affects how you think. Her way in life wasn't right. It was just the way it was. How do you start those honest conversations? You start off by saying, okay, let's first talk about God, because he doesn't have perspective like you and I do. When you see everything the way it is, you don't have perspective, so don't act like you do. So let's go to God and talk to him, because whatever he says about marriage is perspectiveless. So whether she comes from that side of the tracks and I come from that side, both of us need to understand what God said about commitment and other things in life. And when we do that, we're okay. So we go to where there's no perspective and we talk about it. And then when we don't get it, we realize, perspective. Look, very honestly, through this cancer thing, I don't understand everything that my wife's going through. I'm not female. One of the things I get to tell her, I don't know. I'm trying, but I don't know. I can't feel it. I can't understand it all. Okay. That alone is good. Conflict normal. I don't know, I got to quit this, so I encourage you to go back and look at Powell's levels of communication. Because I think what you understand basically is you want to kick yourself up to the best level of communication you can possibly get to. When you communicate, there's really, these aren't scriptural things. You can go to the scriptures and we can do that. And I'll give you some scripture passage for it, because I meant to land there a little longer. But Powell basically has said, in communication, the worst level of communication is when you're all full of small talk and cliches. You don't get anywhere with that, you don't know anybody, and that's how we work. How you doing? Fine. You're not fine. Your wife has cancer or whatever. fine. Right, we just do that. Nice day, we talk about, so small talk cliches. Don't let that be the level you have with your spouse. The second worst level is factual conversation. Your wife talks to somebody who should be on the nightly news. You know, dear, fact. Raining out, cold, snow. Like, we need those weathermen to tell us that. Factual conversations are nice, but they're not a part of growing relationships. The third level, that's kind of in the middle, is when you start sharing your feelings and emotions. Now you're at a more vulnerable level. Here's what happens. So you start sharing your feelings and emotions, or your wife does. You do something to make fun of that. She kicks right back up to the factual side, and you never get beyond that level because you did something to make sure she doesn't. The second is ideas and opinions. If really somebody around you respects your feelings and emotions, you'll go to the next level with them, where you'll tell them what you feel. Not just emotive, but feelings. And the deepest is just honest, but just where you get to that honest level, no matter what. A lot of marriages are up in that. You know, instead of being down at 1, they're going from 2 to 5 all the time. Because we get hurt pretty easy. Believe it or not, your wife is the one that can hurt you the most. She says something, you boom, right up to facts, right up to cliches. You're done. Be careful. Those are Paul's. What does God say, actually? You go to these verses because you get around. But James 1:19, know my beloved brother, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. I want to understand what she's saying. I need to be slow about that because I am a verbal thinker, remember? So as she's saying, words are coming out of my mouth to refute what she's saying. What I didn't understand about that was that I'm not really trying to challenge her. I'm trying to think it through, but I do it differently than she does it. So I was causing tremendous conflict with that. I had to learn. Now she has to learn too. So she has in life. She'll just say, I know you're thinking that through. When she says that, I know. I said, okay, well, I know I just messed up now. But she knows it. I know it. We've been married 42 years. Believe it or not, we have less conflict because of it. We know it. That's how we communicate. James in the we says, you know, my brother and beloved, the aforementioned fact, now let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to get angry. Get angry. No corrupting talk come out of your mouth. I challenge you, go to Ephesians 4:29, realize what it says. None. Some people have these jokes and what's up. Don't do it. Don't let things. Never say something that would demean your wife. Never say something in a joking manner that you think is in a joking manner that's demeaning. Don't do it. Why? You may think it was funny and you were joking. One of the greatest things husbands do is go, I was just kidding. You know what that is? I can take one of my buddies, we can argue, we can duke it out, and then go for pizza. Women do not do that. Do not treat your wife like your buddy. She's not your buddy. She's your wife. And she's different than the guy you grew up with that you used to like the box. Don't do it. Communication is not what you say, but it's also what you hear, what people hear. If she doesn't hear me, I have a rule when I teach. If you didn't hear me, I didn't teach. I got to figure out another way to do it. If my wife did not hear what I just said, I didn't say it. In other words, I might have her repeat it or something, but if she didn't hear it, then I didn't say it in a way where she got it. That's part of communication. Sometimes we throw our hands and go, I told her. So my question is, when somebody comes to me like that, well, did she understand it? No. Then you didn't tell her. And so it's my responsibility to speak in a way where she gets it? Yeah. Say it different. That's how it works. Sorry. Don't be irresponsible and say, I said it, and you said it in a way that she can't grab it. Colossians 3:12-18. You go look at it. Thanks for coming. If you want some podcasts down here, podbean.com/Relate365. I do 4 different ones. They're meant for different audiences, and some find one extremely boring, and I say, don't listen to it. I mean, it wasn't meant for you then. And some find them worthwhile, so help yourself to them if you'd like. I have 2 minutes for questions. Any questions for 2 minutes? It's best you ask God anyway. Go to the Bible, open it up, and ask Him. He actually knows the answer. I would just make it up here. So, I'm sure I said that. Yeah. Let me pray. I'll let you guys go. Father, again, thank you that we could be together today for this group. I ask you to help them communicate well. First to you, to their spouse. We ask your Spirit to be the one that convicts us of things we need to change. There is always something. And help us communicate well. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.